The House passed the bill authorizing the checks in a big bipartisan vote. It is hard to get 2/3 of the House of Representatives to agree on what time it is, but 2/3 of the House of Representatives voted for the $2,000 checks. President Trump supports the $2,000 checks, so he'll sign the bill if the Senate sends it to him. We can vote on the House bill today, like in a matter of hours, if Senate Republicans agree. So why isn't this happening? Why didn't Senator McConnell announce the schedule for the vote on the $2,000 checks bill? Why didn't he agree to Senator Schumer's request to bring it up for an immediate vote? Now, a lot of Republicans are saying they object to the payments because it costs too much and it's going to add too much to the deficit. Well, frankly, spare me the fake righteous indignation about the deficit all of a sudden. 3 years ago, these same deficit hawk Republicans passed a tax cut bill that before the pandemic hit had already added over $200 billion to the annual deficit. And that was a tax cut where 80% of the benefits went to the richest 1% of Americans. Warren Buffett wrote in his note to investors last year that the deficit finance tax cuts earned his empire $29 billion overnight. That windfall, Buffett noted, quote, did not come from anything we accomplished at Berkshire. So it's funny, deficits just didn't matter to the 52 when it was tax cuts to the 600 richest people in America. But even if this Congress wasn't ending in 5 days and we had time to figure out how to pay for it, you know how we can't pay for it? Cutting foreign aid. President Trump has been talking a lot about foreign aid in the last week. Now, the money we spend on foreign aid, all supported by Democrats and Republicans over the years, all of its smart investments in our nation's security, that actually wasn't in the COVID relief package. It was in the annual budget, as it always is. It just so happens that this year, the COVID relief package and the annual budget were passed together. But just for argument's sake, let's say Trump got his way and every single dollar of foreign aid was cut out of the budget. Would that pay for the $2,000 checks? Not even close. President Trump apparently has an oversized impression of how much money we spend on foreign aid because our annual foreign aid spending doesn't even equal 10% of the cost of a one-time $2,000 payment to low and middle income citizens. There is also some speculation that Senator McConnell is going to join together the $2,000 payments with other much more controversial measures, much more complicated measures, like the reform of our internet liability laws. That is an invitation for this entire effort to fall apart. The House has finished voting. They have passed the $2,000 payment bill and sent it to us. They are not interested in taking up anything else. If we start adding poison pills to the $2,000 payment bill, that is just another way of telling the American people that this body doesn't support $2,000 payments. Listen, being a billionaire must be crazy. I make a lot of money as a senator, but even I would have to work 7,500 years before my earnings equaled $1 billion. You know what was happening 7,500 years ago? The Stone Age. There isn't a good reason to oppose giving Americans who aren't billionaires a measly $2,000 check to help them put food on the table for their kids in the middle of this once-in-a-lifetime crisis. There isn't a good reason to choose to make moms and dads all across this country decide which 2 meals they'll feed their kids each day because 3 meals is not an option. $2,000 doesn't put dinner on the table every night, but man, going to bed hungry when you're 11, it sucks. And even dealing with it every other night instead of every single night, no kid is going to turn that down. There are 52 of you. And the next 24 to 48 hours, you get to decide. Do you protect the billionaires? Or do you choose to feed that 11-year-old kid? The only thing that stands between the American people and a $2,000 emergency survival check is 52 Senate Republicans. You got it? Understand? There's a bill pending right now before the Senate that gives $2,000 to ordinary Americans. Yes, it costs a lot of money, and maybe down the line we'll have to ask the billionaires to pay for it. But the bill's here right now. The legislative session expires in 5 days. President Trump says he'll sign it. And all that matters right now is what these 52 people decide. The House passed the bill with lots of Democratic and Republican support. The president supports the idea. The only thing that can stop $2,000 payments to struggling Americans right now is 52 Senate Republicans. Some things in Washington aren't that simple, but this is. I yield the floor.